And we are live. Another broadcast of the Roofing on the Rise. We are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston marketplace, where you can come and get shingles and TPO, flat roofing, all kinds of tropical roof coatings here at RSI. I also am sponsored by West Group Public Adjusting. Looking for a good public adjuster? West Group Public Adjuster has got your back. Today we have an amazing guest, Joseph Hughes. Joseph, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. You can call me Joe. That's fine. Whatever you
Okay.
want, or anything else that you want. That's cool too.
That's like me, man. You call me anything, just not late to dinner.
There you go. Yeah, Lombardi time. Got to be early.
Man, I'm super stoked. I've been kind of paying attention to you here for the last about year and a half, and really been seeing the difference between everyone's content. Definitely has gotten better in the past few years. Yours is really, really, really awesome. Like, you have came up with some really awesome stuff. Um, Man, one of the biggest things that comes to my mind is like the circle booth, where like the confetti's in the air. Like, you did a great job at that. I don't know how you guys did that, if it was a photo booth or what, but it was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with John Cater, who's our creative director and video extraordinaire here, and he comes up with all those ideas, those creative ideas. And at first, I'm like, I'm all business, at the conferences and whatnot. And he's like, "Yeah, we got to make it fun. We got to do this and confetti." And at first, with the confetti, I was like, "Oh man, it's just I don't know. It sounds like a mess. I don't know if I want to deal with it." But thankfully, try to get out of my own way and let other people do their things. And yeah, I mean, it's like now I give him definitely as much creative freedom as we can. So yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it's you gotta the content, everyone's content has been getting better for sure.
Yeah.
And it definitely drives you to become better like every like week in and week out.
Yeah.
It used to be easy. Now it's hard, which is, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
level up.
definitely, man, uh, just learning this content and how to create good quality content is a journey that I'm embarking on right now. It's an exciting journey. It's fun.
It is, yeah. It's
So
fun, but it's gotta be it's gotta serve a bigger purpose than just be fun in my opinion.
absolutely, yeah. So I was in Bible study this morning with Jim Johnson. Shout out to Jim Johnson, Contractor Fellowship. If you're looking for a good morning fellowship meeting, Wednesday morning, 7:30, we get you hooked up with that. Um, Anyhow, we were talking about that. Prayer praise came up, and I was like, listen, I want some prayer on, creating this content, making sure that the content is educational, and that it has a good reach to our audience, and that I I'm able to constantly create things that people would engage with, that would benefit them and make them grow. And that's really my vision for this. Um, so yeah, it's hard. I was up until 12:30 last night, like studying and just like putting out a couple, editing a couple more clips. Just it's a lot.
It is. It's very time consuming. Yeah. It is.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and Contractor Dynamics.
Yeah, so Contractor Dynamics, we are a marketing training company for the roofing industry. So what that means is that we train residential roofing companies on how to create their own content, how to run their own marketing, how to run their own social media ads. Basically, we help them build out a marketing machine inside their company so that they have more control over their brand, their customer acquisition, so they have an understanding of how to work with like marketing agencies and things like that more effectively.
Yeah.
So we equip our clients with the tools that they can use to really build their brand and grow their businesses. So that's what we do in a nutshell. I can go into more depth in any aspect of that, but that's the elevator pitch, if you will.
Sweet. So yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about, like, when you came into business, were you originally 1099, a actual legitimate business, or did you start underneath somebody like W-2, or did you start underneath somebody at 1099? And what was that like?
Yeah, so I grew up in my family's construction business, which I think a lot of people would resonate with, family businesses, right? So
Yeah.
I grew up as a sixth generation family member in that business that started back in 1894. So pretty cool
Wow.
story. Yeah, I had so what, that 100 and almost 130 years old. Yeah.
That's
Um,
that's a long time. That's construction for that entire time.
Yeah, so not roofing, but like maritime construction up here in
Yeah.
the Northeast. So barges, tugboats, shipyards, like things like that. Hughes Marine Firms is the name of the company, hughesmarine.com. Give them a little plug there. But
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
grew up in that biz. My dad and my two uncles are the owners still today, and it was awesome. Got to learn a lot. And long story short, I left the company on good terms back in 2012 because I had that entrepreneurial bone in my body, and I was like, hey, I can be at this company, this big, like, like slow moving, but like, steady moving ship, for the rest of my life or career, and job security, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Decent money, not like baller money, but decent money, health benefits, company car, the whole deal. So I was very grateful for that opportunity. But at the same time, my wife and I were starting to have a family. I was about 30 years old, and I was like, you got one life to live. Like, I want to see what I can go out and create on my own. So, yeah, left the family biz on good terms. Started out like I had the marketing, passion. I had the construction background. I was like, man, like construction companies suck at marketing. So let me try to fill that gap. Right. So started out just kind of doing whatever I needed to do to get some clients in the door. Like I started out, I started my LLC, and started out by hosting local networking events for contractors. Like I made a Facebook group. This is back in 2012, 13. Made a Facebook group. I had weekly coffee meetups every Friday morning at Green Planet Coffee Shop. Show up at 7 a.m. Coffee and breakfast is on me. And basically, I just had like these meetups with contractors, and I didn't really even know what the heck I was doing. I didn't really have anything to sell, and it was just like conversations with guys like, hey, they'd be like, hey, so what do you do? And I'm like, I don't know, like, what do you need? Like, I'll figure it out, right? So it's like websites, SEO, Facebook ads, not necessarily back then, but Google, things like that. So just kind of organically just kind of learned and grew from there. So that was the start. It was just starting on my own. I had a written business plan, but as most people know, like, what is it? Mike Tyson says everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
That was it. You have this nice business plan, but nothing goes according to plan. You just got to go out there and get in the game and figure it out.
And I like that. So when you decided that it was time to go out on your own, right? What was going through your brain at that time?
A lot. When I decided to go out on my own, man, I was like, I want, it was my family's business that I worked for, but at the same time, I was an employee, right? And
Right.
they have old school, you commute to the office. I was commuting 45 minutes each way, pretty,
In the Northeast, prim and proper.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're in khakis and a button down to
Right.
the office. I'm just like, man,
Yeah.
like I started reading some Tim Ferriss books back in 2007. 4 Hour Work Week came out. I was like, my mind was blown, not by the 4 hour work week, like, ideal, but like by the fact that you could like create a business that you could run from anywhere and have freedom, and like you could make as much money as you want, and you could like meet all sorts of cool people. And I was like, wow, that sounds like this whole new world. So that's like the juice that was driving me, like just having that creative freedom, having freedom over my time, making my own schedule. That was a big factor for me, and it still is, really.
Yeah. 'Cause one of the biggest things that I like to showcase here is mindset. Got a lot of people that watch this that struggle with that. I've gotten a couple messages on it. I'm mentoring a couple of younger men that are getting into entrepreneurship, and so this is a good way to help influence those younger generation. Um, were you apprehensive to jump into entrepreneurship?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Especially because so this is going back where at that point we were married for 2 years, 2 or 3 years. My wife was pregnant with our son, our first child.
Mm,
And we had in order to make room for our first child, we had to sell our first home that we had bought together, and we bought that right before the crash in '08. So we bought it at the peak. We sold it. We lost a chunk of money on that.
yeah.
Just timing is what it
Yeah.
is. So, like, big life events, you're having your first kid. I left
Mm.
my family business, start my own company, and we're moving, like 3 big life events within 4 months. I would not
Ooh,
recommend that.
no.
So
No,
I was
no.
definitely s I was definitely sweating there. But, one of the things that was, one of the things that helped is that my wife at the time was, she had a great job, in the finance industry, so that was a good income for us, so I had a little bit of a runway there. But yeah, apprehensive, just like because I came from, like, 100-year-old company where, like,
Right.
you didn't really have to do much marketing or
Right.
nor much selling, like, it was pretty looking back on it, it was pretty easy. It was easy street, and then you're jumping out and you're like, "Man, I gotta make money. I gotta learn how to sell." I've never learned how to sell. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to manage people. I hardly knew how to manage myself looking back on it.
Mm,
And it's just like, yeah, having the faith that, like, I'm going to figure this out. I thought it would be
mhm.
within a year or 2. Took me a few more years than that to, like, figure it out and get
Uh,
my feet under me, but, I guess having that conviction that, like, hey, like, there's no maybe you can call it a pride thing for me, like, "Hey, I'm not gonna go crawling back to my dad after failing on my own and asking him if I could get back into the family biz?" Like, in
mm.
my mind, I knew that was always a legit, like, opportunity.
Right.
Um, just the way my family is, like, yeah, you wanna come back in and, that was my dad had said that to me too. And maybe it was a pride thing, a man thing, but I'm like, "No, like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes, and I'm not gonna go crawling back to the family biz,"
Yeah, 'cause you gotta
So
deal with that,
r
BS
yeah,
from
like
everyone, man, like, you didn't make it.
oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
we're coming back to the family
Yeah.
biz," and you're
So that
like,
was like
ain't nobody got time for that.
yeah, and at the end of the day, no one else would have cared about that or judged me other than myself.
Right.
And
Right.
if they were gonna judge me, I don't care. But, yeah, it was
We're
it
our
was a it
hugest
was a
critic.
burn the ships mentality. It was like, "Yeah, there's no other option here but to figure it out?"
I like that. That is that's I mean, hell, Eminem has a song about that, you know? And I think that that mentality is something that is, synonymous with business ownership, uh, unless you had a silver spoon given to you. If you have actually genuinely worked from the bottom and built something, then you've dealt with this. Um, and you've had this in your brain, you've had to deal with those nights, just like, "How am I gonna get all this done? How am I gonna pay these bills?" I know I got money coming, but it's just not here yet. And you know what I mean? Like, it's a burden. So, how did you get through some of that?
Man, my wife, thank God. Like, it wasn't for her, I don't
Oh
know.
god. Let's not
Um,
no, I'm just kidding.
oh
I talk about my wife almost every single time we're on these, but man, wives are important.
oh, dude,
They're
yeah. I mean, hopefully your
they're
sis doesn't hear me.
that glue.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I just having that, like, because you're so in it, you're so emotional, you're so
Yeah.
stressed, you're tired, and when you get tired, you're more emotional and you're more, like, short fuse, and yeah, it's the
Mhm.
money thing, but it's also like, dude, it's 8 p.m. and I got, like, 6 hours of work to do today or by the end of the
Yeah.
week, and, like, how am I gonna get it done? I'm so beyond tired. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I remember making like I now my schedule is like I go to bed 9:30, I wake up at 5:30, like I'm an early-ish person. But
Yeah.
like I remember, dude, back in the day, like I'd be brewing pots of coffee at like midnight. And
Yeah.
my wife would look at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I know it's not what I should be doing, but I need to do it."
Yeah.
Like you just need to freaking do it. Like there are not forever because that's not healthy at all.
Right.
And that means that, you don't have like, other business support there. But like at the beginning, yeah, there's gonna be times like that where it's just pure hustle, right? Um, and like I don't know, I just had to I had to make it work. And like, you see people out there on social media sometimes, like, you know, I don't really have the motivation. Like I just never understood that, right? Because like
Yeah.
I I don't know, you just need to make it work, like, zero option mentality.
Man, do you work out at all?
Yeah, could you tell? 7 days a week, man.
Really?
Mental, as much mental for me as it is physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to,
Same for me.
in the
Morning or night?
morning.
Yeah, me
Morning
too.
right now, I'm doing 75 hard, so it's morning and night, but
Oh, wow, okay.
normally, it's just morning, gets the day started, like, the right way.
Man, tip my hat off to you. 75 hard is yeah, I've heard is really, really tough. I've never looked into it.
It ain't easy.
Not gonna subscribe to it yet. I'm doing a lot of personal development right now, and, um, I'll cross that bridge when I'm ready.
I
But those
respect
are
that, right? Because it's hard, it's very hard, and, like,
right,
I
right,
think
right,
a
yeah.
lot of people, take something like that on because they see someone else on social media doing it, but
Yeah,
it's like, man, and that's why the failure rate is very high,
exactly.
and if you're not gonna, like, if it doesn't fit into your life, like, you wanna be ambitious, but also, like, realistic at the same time because
Yeah.
if it's gonna, whatever, we can go down a rabbit hole there, but
No,
yes.
I totally vibe that. Like, I have to do morning workouts myself. Um, I was just talking to somebody about it earlier because 'cause I've been posting these photos every day, well, past couple of days of the gym, and, somebody asked me about it, and, it kinda messed me up. It took me 2 2 of my friends passing away for me to care about my health, and, uh, so I just had a solemn moment this morning because I was like, "Dude, that like, how did I not care?" And then I look at the performance that I had in my life of everything, family, faith, fitness, you name it, finance, all of them, all the 5 fives. Yeah, it was screwed, all of them in my life. And so I now with the regiment, and this is what I'm getting at more is like the regiment of a top performer. Okay. Everyone has that regiment, right? Whether it's a morning workout, an evening workout, and how you perform those. For me, a morning workout, it gets out a lot of negative energy.
Mhm.
Like I can just get it all out, and I'm not transferring that to my day because somehow, like I wake up like David Goggins says sometimes, just a poopy pants. I just gotta work that shit out, dude.
Yeah, and I've heard many people and read about, high performers and like, yeah, I think there's this misconception that, people that are crushing it, like they wake up every day ready to crush it. Like, no, like
Right, right.
you wake up and like you hear like I'm a big Andy Frisella fan. Like, you engineer that, right? By the morning
Yeah.
routine, by the workout, you get those wins and you get the momentum going in the morning. That's engineered. That's not just like natural.
Yeah, absolutely. So you work out, in the mornings. After that, do you have like a certain meal regiment?
Yeah, so I have a whole like my morning routine is pretty dialed in. I work out. I wake up. I mean, I can go through it if that's what you're.
Yeah, man. Like I'm trying to see what this top performer is all about.
Yeah, it's like pretty. So if anyone like follows like a disc profile, I'm high S. Like I'm very stable. I'm very consistent. That's just my nature. So it comes more naturally to me than maybe others. But like discipline equals freedom, right? So
Yeah,
wake up. I have one of these 24-ounce uh, cups of water with lemon juice and pink sea salt. Basically, natural electrolytes to
yeah,
rehydrate you because you get dehydrated during the night. I do. I use an app. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes using the Headspace app. I'm currently at 800 and like 10 days in a row meditating.
Okay.
What's that?
I said, okay.
Yeah. I hate breaking streaks. And then I do the verse of the day in the Bible app every day. So
Ooh.
that's another 5 to 7 minutes there. And
Okay.
then I read 10 pages every day. And then I read through my dynamic legacy, which is some of my goals, some of my I am statements, my core values. I read through those. I visualize for 5 minutes, and that's my morning. And then I do my morning post. So that all in is almost an hour. And then I go to the gym, come back, I do breakfast with the kids before they head off to school and my wife. And so meal right now, I'm on this like carb cycling diet, which is like protein and chicken and rice and vegetables pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty boring. So in the morning it's a cup of egg whites plus a couple eggs plus oatmeal plus protein. It's a power breakfast, I call it. So it's like 600 and something calories. I crush that, and black coffee, and I drink lots of water and lots of black coffee.
That's awesome. And Tim Brown popped up with a Joseph Hughes is a beast. I freaking
Thanks,
love that.
Tim. Love you, man. I'm just sharing what works for me. And it's funny. I have a podcast as well, and I that's one of the questions I ask at the end in the lightning round is like, what's your morning routine? Because
Okay.
everyone that is someone in my world, like someone that I look up to,
Yeah.
like they don't just roll out of bed and like scroll through Facebook, right?
Right.
Um, I appreciate those of you who do because you're liking my morning posts.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm on East Coast, I get that morning post in, and then like you guys in Central
I
and Mountain.
know.
Um, so I'm ahead of the game,
Yeah,
but yeah,
you are. Just a little bit.
I like to ask that question. Yeah, I hate traveling to like Denver because I feel like I'm so far behind because I'm normally on East Coast.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my god, I
dude.
feel so far behind.
Man, that's nuts. I didn't even think about, when traveling, how that affects. I used to I actually lived up in Connecticut for a little while and did a lot of roofs in
Oh yeah,
Connecticut.
cool.
Yeah, really different up there. Um, I had my Wranglers and a big belt buckle and a felt cowboy hat. That did not work for me, alright?
Yeah,
Um, I had to go get some slacks, man, had to get some loafers.
like the Yankees
It was
ball
definitely
cap.
an interesting transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 wood shake's more prevalent up there, so I had a lot of fun 'cause I started my career in the Amarillo, Texas area, and so there's quite a bit of wood shake up there, so I had some of that experience, was able to have some fun up there. But man, really wanna get into, like, challenging things for contractors, right? So right now, having some stuff across the states. I know Ohio is about to do a licensing, right? So that's running through legislation. Texas is running another one. RCAT is finishing up some stuff right now to push through Austin for licensing in Texas. I actually just joined the HARCA board, looking to join the RCAT board very soon, joining the government committee so that I can get involved with this. What do you think about the the licensing issue in some of these states? I mean, what do you think could be done to help resolve some of this?
Man, that's really not my area of expertise at all. I think that I, maybe I'll answer this question in a different way. The way that I want to
Perfect.
answer it really
Yeah.
is, like I like to control what I can control, right? So like if
Yeah.
I'm a roofer, if I'm in Texas, if I'm in Georgia is another one, right? I don't want to complain about, oh, there's no licensing, all these trucks are coming out and starting businesses, especially right after a storm. It's crazy. Maybe I can't control that. Someone like you, I definitely commend you because you are joining these organizations and getting involved, and like it's people like you that are going to drive that change. So I highly appreciate you and applaud that for sure. Um, maybe my attitude is more, less noble, where I'm like, hey, I just want to control what I can control, right? So I want to
No, like,
build.
there's nothing wrong with that, like, it's came up on the last 4, broadcasts, so I figured I'd bring it up as one of the things I had, in my mind today.
Yeah, no,
Um
I mean, if like, we have clients in Georgia, clients in Texas. There's, I guess, other states without licensing. I know those are two of the more notable ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't complain. It You just gotta be, you gotta know that there's more competition out there, and you got to build up your business to be, build up your brand and your business to be, you know, um, unmesswithable, like where people can't mess with you because you're so good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like, if you're don't complain that you're getting beat up on price by guys that are just, coming in with no overhead, no licensing and things like that. If you're failing to educate your homeowners, your market, on why they should, choose you or a company like you. So um I
Hit it
would
on the head.
my answer would skew more toward like a positioning and branding and marketing end than it would. I'm just not educated on all the licensing stuff and whatnot.
No, absolutely. I mean, you hit it right on the head, actually. I feel like that was awesome. Um, so speaking of brand, you've built a pretty interesting and unique brand, right? Like, you're different than everyone else. Um, I've seen a lot of your content, and it's definitely eye-catching, right? So tell us about branding and, a few good things that contractors could do to align themselves better.
Yeah, I mean, branding is like what a big topic. Some people might consider a four-letter word, like, I don't know, brand or like a logo. Yeah, I got a brand, I got a logo, I got the same logo as everyone else has with the roof line on top of my Joe's
Oh
roofing name.
god.
Um, but
I
really what it comes
I'm just
down
gonna
to, what's that?
I'm
Oh,
just gonna leave that I'm just gonna
what
leave
what
that
brand
alone.
comes down to is me, and I talk a lot about brand, is like just it's getting people to know who you are, right? Like getting people to in your area, in your market, your local roofing company. In our case, it's North America. It's a big market. Like we target
Yeah,
residential roofing companies in North America. But for local roofing company, it's that 5 miles, it's that 25 miles radius of your office, your location, whatever that is. And your goal is to build up that brand in terms of like getting as many people in that area to know who you are, what you do, and ideally associate with you in a positive way, right? And that's what branding is, and it's something that needs to be worked on every day. Like you need to wake up every day and ask yourself, how can I become more popular than I was yesterday? Like how can we get more people to know about us today than knew about us yesterday? and
yeah.
and that's like boiling it down to into a simple question that you can go take action on, right? There's a variety of things you can do to like create that brand awareness, to make more people aware of your brand, offline, online. There's a whole bunch of things that we can do. We can dive into those if you want, but
Yeah,
that's
let's
how
do
I
that.
define a brand. What's that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, so I had two calls today, with two clients. One was a roofing company in Ohio, actually. Another one is another type of company that services the roofing industry. So we have a few of those clients as well.
Okay.
And we were talking about like content, and right, like there's not. So here's a big thing that like roofing contractors get caught up with, right? Like running Google ads or running Facebook ads, or like, if you're doing direct mail or something like that. Generating leads is not very hard. Okay. This client that I was just on Zoom with before, for year to date, I think they had like 146 Facebook leads, and 11 of them turned into appointments. Right. So that's a very low ratio. That's under
Right,
10%. That's horrible. Right.
right.
And so in that case, it's like, hey, clearly it's not hard to generate leads, but like we don't just want leads. They don't pay the bills. We want appointments,
Right.
good quality appointments. So what's going on here? Like, oh, we have an aggressive follow-up system where, the minute someone completes that form, we have our telemarketer, we have this follow-up, that follow-up, that follow-up. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter how many times you're following up if that's a crappy lead to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather see you be more aggressive on the front end before that lead is generated than after that lead is generated. And by aggressive before that lead is generated, I mean, if an ideal prospect for your business, like someone is going to schedule a good quality appointment, like who is that? Get clear on who that is. What do they need to see and believe before they become a prospect, before they schedule an appointment? Well, they need to probably see your brand, 8 to 11 or 12 or 15 times before they feel comfortable enough being like, yeah, I'm going to go with Joe's Roofing or whatever it might be, right? Then that lead's going to be higher quality. They're going to convert into an appointment at a much higher rate, a better appointment. You're going to get price shopped less. You're going to close at a higher rate. You're going to make more profit. And it's just like this positive snowball, right? So it becomes like I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but like really understanding like who your ideal prospective client is, and then what do they need to see and believe before they feel comfortable enough scheduling an appointment with you. And then, do it. It's not just, they don't need to see one, juicy ad with some cool, creative, like Chat GPT ad copy, right? No,
Right.
they need to see you like a dozen times before like, oh yeah, those guys, right? And because today we're hit with like thousands of marketing messages every single day, like it's harder. Yeah. 5, 6, 7 years ago, shoot, man, it was like, we've been doing this for 10 years, like 10 and a half years. It was easy back in the day. Now it's like, man, it's hard. But I'm grateful for that because it helps us to become better. So I forget well, how do they do that? Was that the original question, or like, how do you get more people to know about you? It's not just about putting out
we
a
hit a
bunch of
rabbit
like,
hole hard.
it's not just about putting out a bunch of like,
That rabbit
yeah.
that rabbit hole was good. And like if you want to continue, this is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's
So
it.
the
It's
original
like, I guess
go ahead.
we got some overlap here. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can have the best freaking telemarketer, follow-up system automation, all this, that, and the other thing. But like, you gotta do more work on the front end before that lead is generated to show the value before that lead, right? And get super clear on who that, it's not everyone, right? Who is your ideal client? And again, what do they need to see and believe before they feel comfortable enough scheduling that appointment? Like that's everything. So that's mostly why we as a company focus mostly on social media, because you can create that brand and just,
Woo.
you can
Mhm.
blanket people like forever, and generate higher quality appointments.
So branding should be one of the first things that contractors think about when they wake up. Outside of their routine, right? They get to start to work mode. Branding should be one of the first things that they think about.
And not in my ideal world, yes.
So
I mean, yeah,
think about it this way. So everybody wears like polos generally, right? And so on the polo is your logo,
yeah.
okay? Because logo and brand are freaking different. All right. And that's what we're trying to drive home here. Um, and so you've got that logo, and you on the truck, you have a wrap, right? Let's just say roofing contractor. You got a hat on. That hat has a logo, right? And so you go to get your morning coffee. That's branding. That's networking, right? Because you're going to Starbucks every morning at 6:30, and everyone in your area sees you. Oh man, hey Joe, good to see you again, right? Hey man, what's new? And you're a part of their everyday life, so that's a point of contact, POC, right? So like, I'm gonna give a for instance of a contractor that I know in my market that does great on their branding. Justin O'Neill with Fair Claims Roofing, big shout out to you. If you go in about a 5 mile radius, 10 mile radius of his office, you're going to see one of his guys. You're going to see their truck. You may see one of the ladies in the office. You're going to see 5, 10, 15 of their signs, a billboard. Uh, what else? You're going to see all kinds of stuff. And on the way, you're going to get a message on Facebook. You're going to see his story. You're going to see their story. They're posting, they're active, and their sales reps are doing the same, all of them. I've never seen anyone in this area hone in and focus on that as much as they do. And if you are in the Houston market and you do, I'd love to talk to you. So like when we talk about this thing, this branding, waking up in the morning, branding, um, what exactly besides going down into the absolute layer, like this is an onion, right? What else could a contractor do to align themselves better, say on Google, right? Because I hear a lot of people with Google, and should they be doing ads? Should they not be doing ads? Right? Am I just spending money here for no good reason? Um, Give us some examples of why you should or should not do some ads.
Yeah, so probably not. Like, there's layers, like you said, right? You need to
Yeah,
build that foundation. So, like, website is your home base. Okay, so you need to have a good website that builds trust, establishes authority. Like, I just went to fairclaimsroofingcompany.com. I'd never heard of them, but I'm on it right now. Great website, calls to action, contact info, master elite, 20 years in business, RCAT license. Like, okay, that's all without me scrolling down. Like, okay, I know these guys are legit, right?
yeah.
I know where they are, the Woodlands, Greater Houston's top rated roofing company. I know exactly where they are, what they do. I know these guys are legit. I Google them. I see 200 and something, Google reviews. That's awesome. So website's huge. That Google business profile, formerly called Google My Business, it's free, right? You have to have that. That is, you want to generate as many reviews on that puppy as possible. And there's also things you can do as like, as a roofing company to beef that up, to get yourself to show up in those top three results in the map pack, right? You optimize your profile correctly. You can actually do posts in your Google business profile, every day if you want, just like social media posts,
Mm,
images, words, the whole deal. Answering questions, things like that. So there are things you can do there to have that, because there's increasingly what are called zero click searches, right? Where someone's going to search for, roofing company, Woodlands, Texas, and they're going to go look at the results. They might see a couple ads, they might see maps results, they might see Google business profiles, they might read reviews. A zero click is where they're not clicking through to go to any websites or anything like that. They're just going by what they see on that first page of Google.
mhm,
So that stuff is very important, right? So that
yeah,
foundation of like business profile, reviews, pictures, the whole deal, awesome. Like especially for restaurants, think about it. Like restaurant websites suck. Like I don't go to
yeah,
them. I go to the Google, I go to Google Photos, reviews, like social media, yes, Instagram, yes, but rarely for restaurants am I really going to a website for a restaurant. But yeah, Google Ads, the traditional Google Ads can get very expensive very quickly in roofing if you don't know what you're doing, right?
mm,
Or if your agency sucks, they don't know what they're doing either. So that is a more advanced strategy, I would say, when you have some budget to like, be able to test some different things when it's not your last 10 grand, right? Like you're going to need to
uh,
invest some money.
yeah,
However, Google LSA, local service ads, AKA Google guaranteed, that's still very good in a lot of areas. In the major cities, maybe like Houston is a little saturated, but where
yeah,
I am here, like, at the Jersey Shore, like it's not a major metropolitan area, still a major opportunity here.
yeah.
And that's a lower barrier to entry in terms of like, you don't have to invest a ton of money in order to be in the Google LSA guaranteed. So that's a great place to be as well.
Okay. So, next question, and I like that. The answer to that question was really awesome, like an onion. So let's dive into photographs and video. What are you seeing is more effective right now?
Yeah, both. I mean, both are great. So I would definitely deploy a strategy that includes video and photos. Video is going to tend to get more reach, especially when you're running social media ads. So like Facebook and
Mm,
Instagram ads. If
yeah,
you're only running, and we were going through this with a prospective client last week. We had a marketing clarity call. They're an eight-figure roofing company. They are running a bunch of ads, spending a bunch of money. And we went into their ads, and they're all like they're not even photos. They're like graphics that they made on Canva with like their logo on them and stuff like that. Now the thing about that is when people see those things, yes, they look great, good eye candy.
Yeah.
But when you run them as ads, we like our eyes, our brains see those things and we're automatically like, that's an ad, right? And
Yeah.
we're subconsciously like scrolling through, right?
Oh yeah.
Great for your organic social media, organic, like your free social media. But
Yes.
I would not run those graphics as ads because they scream like, I am an ad, right? So
Yeah.
if you're going to use images, use like eye catching images that are just like, images of your projects or your trucks, your people or whatever. Have the branding like natively in there, so like in other words, don't like take a picture and then slap your logo on it. That looks cheesy. Take a picture with your wrap truck in the background, or your yard sign, or your shirt, or your hat, or your catch-all, or your Quipter, or all of those things, right?
Right.
So get the native branding in those pictures. But yeah, images are going to be good. But as far as like running social media ads, Facebook and Instagram, you're going to get much more reach with your videos. You're going to your cost for reaching, say 10,000 people is going to be much less. And then when you do run video ads, you're going to be able to build up an audience of people that are watching 15 seconds or 30 seconds of your video, and then you can build up an audience of people that are engaged with your content, and then you can retarget those people with like calls to action. So
Yeah.
videos for ads are the way to go.
I
Yeah.
agree. Um, Whenever I'm looking through things, um, man, I'll tell you what, Brad Akers has a pretty good little ad that's local to us here right now. Um, and so, and I just seen it last night, right? So I'm scrolling through, and I thought it was one of his videos, and I really didn't mean for him to get a you know pay per click on me, but anyway, it is what it is. I clicked it and I messaged. I really, really thought it wasn't until I look up and I'm like, oh, it is. Well, I'm already deep in this. Well, it was a great ad, brother. Like
Yeah.
it captured me to a point that I was going to send him a comment and it was an ad. So I feel like I feel like if someone has a video, it helps them a whole lot more. I started videos for roofing companies and for hiring videos. I mean, we would put those hiring videos on our Indeed ads, on our LinkedIn, on everything, and they're seeing this. Uh, they see the commodity, they see someone doing a goofy hiring ad post, and they're like, "Oh, you know what? Let me look at this company." And they always go to social. That's something that I learned in the last couple of years through doing hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of interviews. And in those, I'm like, okay, so what exactly was the deciding factor for you to come in today? Oh, well, I checked out your social media. You guys seem really happy. Like, oh, social media is really important, right? And because I kind of battled with it for some time, and I think a lot of people do, right? Is this working? Should I be doing this? Is this actually helping, or are my clients even being able to? Are my clients seeing this, right? Um, and I think that's something that a lot of people have to work out, right? You definitely need to understand your client, like you talked about it earlier, your target client, right, and what that client needs to see before that lead is comes to fruition, right? So, let's go into exactly what your services are at Contractor Dynamics. Whoops. Um, I didn't know that's great. Not thinking about that now. I think I'm gonna open up a call section to a podcast maybe one day. Like phone a friend or something like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I had no clue that came through. Um. Anyway, I forgot the question that I was asking there.
Oh, our services.
Yes, the services at Contractor Dynamics. Could you go into deeper? Because I know branding, social, and you're doing some consulting, right? So could you go deep into that? Like, what exactly are you doing with the clients? What is your target client?
Yeah, I'd be happy to dig into that.
Yeah.
And that's a great question, and we get that all the time, because I think that we're good as a company and me as an individual, although like there's a team behind me, I'm putting out a lot of content, and I think some of it's pretty good, but we're not always good. And I think that comes back to being a marketing guy.
Yeah.
Oh, am I getting some feedback? um Me being a marketing guy and a branding guy, not like a sales guy, like I'm not pitching. So a lot of people are like, yeah, like your content, but like you, they're like, I don't really know exactly what you do. And
Yeah.
that becomes really apparent at at conferences and trade shows where like the in-person people come up to our booth and like, oh man, like, hey, I love your podcast, it's awesome, can I get a selfie with you? Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
like what do you guys do? And I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, that's a fail right there on our end.
Gotcha.
So I've been working on that. Actually, this month we hired I hired a marketing consultant. I mean, hey, like we're a marketing company, but like I'm always
Right.
looking to learn from others as well. And we've been going through these exercises, like hours and hours of like that stuff. Like who is the ideal client? What do they need to see? What do they need to believe? Like what like past experiences have they had? What pain points do they have? Like what does success look to like to them? So for us, like what we do is we're a marketing training company. So we don't actually do anything for our clients. Like we don't do your videos, we don't run your ads, we don't run your marketing. We did all that for 7 years from 2013 through 19. And then end of 2019, we flipped the switch and we transformed into a training company. So we're training, like, sales training companies are very plentiful in the roofing industry. Everyone knows that. We are a marketing training company, right? So it's a little bit newer. We train roofing companies on how to do their own marketing. And the reason we made that shift is because we saw back in like 2018, 2019, like I said, before that, it was freaking easy. Like we'd run Facebook ads for clients in Dallas and Denver, and like it was easy. Then, there's more roofing companies than ever before. There's more companies on
Yeah.
social media than ever before. There's just more noise, right? So like the bar is always raised. So we said, all right, well, like if you really want to be successful at marketing, like as a roofing company, you can't just be like, hey, I own a roofing company. I don't want to deal with that marketing nonsense. I just don't have the time. I just want to pay Marquis to like make my phone ring, right? Like that just does not work anymore. Like you need to understand the basics when it comes to social media. Like you're in Houston, I'm in Jersey. I
Yeah.
can't pay you to be like, hey man, run my social media. You're gonna put out some like stock photos, like stock videos, like some generic stuff that has nothing to do with our brand and our business. Like this doesn't work anymore, right? So we train companies on how to do their own content, go out to job sites, film videos, take pictures, run their own ads, so they can have control over that, right? And then some of the more technical aspects of advertising, like Google and websites and SEO and all that stuff, like we still encourage, like most of our clients that we train, they still outsource that to agencies, but at least they have the understanding of how that stuff works, so they can have intelligent, collaborative conversations with those agencies that they work with, right? Um, so yeah, our primary, I guess, flagship program is a 12-month marketing training program. We're working with a roofing company, residential roofing company that has been in business a couple of years. Usually they've hit that, like they've hustled their way to that first level of like call it 2 million a year, something like that. And they're like, all right, I've hustled my way here. I've knocked doors. I can't work any more hours. I need to create some systems and processes. I need to do some marketing to get to that next level. So it's a very typical like client that's in the $2 to $5 million range. They want to grow to 10 or whatever. And then we've got other clients that are in that 30 to 50, $60 million a year range that are
Okay.
spending an insane amount of money on marketing, TV, radio, billboards, like all the stuff that they've always done. And they're like, man, this is not working like it used to work. I need to figure out this digital and social thing.
Yeah.
So like we work with a decent amount of companies like that as well, or companies that are at that size and they're just beasts at door knocking. And they're like, yeah, we crushed it at the doors. And now we want to layer in this whole like social media marketing thing so that we can, blanket those neighborhoods, and show up on this thing before we get to the door.
Right.
So yeah, we work with a few different types of companies, but usually it's like that $2 to $5 million range, and then like some of the bigger guys who are like, hey, we have in person or in house marketing people,
Yeah.
and we're like we're spending 5 figures a month on TV and it's not working. Like, what do we do?
Mm.
So we help them dial that in. Yeah, so that's all we do.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you contractors out there that are watching. I know we don't have a lot of live listeners right now, but a lot of people catch this and I tear it up with reels. So
Yeah.
you guys watching, pay attention here. $2 to $5 million contractors looking to put better systems into your company. Joseph has got you covered, man. That's for sure. Uh, Joe, I want to go back to creating content and having that the correct hook and ending, right? Like, so like that's something that you're talking about is you're you've employed basically like a coach, right, to help you execute the right vision for your company. So that's something that I sometimes struggle with, right? Because like I have an outro that's RSI. I got this podcast. We do distribution, right? And so what I do specifically is content creation. So I get paid to do this broadcast. I own the intellectual rights to everything, which is a
Awesome.
cool part. Big shout out to Roof and Spy Incorporated and letting me do that awesome deal with you guys. Um, and and in turn, I have people that do business with me at RSI. So we'll ship orders and such, and I have a back office support to help with orders and dispatch and all that good stuff. So um, it's hard sometimes to put those two together, right? So like this is something that I'm doing to help educate the masses, to help bring a innovation to the masses, but not all the time is innovation scream buy shingles from me, right? So, what tip could you give me that I could do to maybe help improve some of my videos?
So your goal, like, so it comes down to, Stephen Covey, start with the end in mind and then kind of reverse engineer from there, right? So like what is the end? And I think this is for a lot of people that like there's a lot of people creating content these days, and that's very awesome. That's very encouraging. But I think a lot of people, everyone could benefit from like getting clear on why, like what is the objective or the goal? So like for you, what is the goal? Is it to help your like your roofing companies like grow and buy more product? Is it to attract more roofing companies that are going to switch over to RSI? Like, what is the goal?
Yeah, so it's kind of an onion, right? So the reason why I did that, man, the reason why I started the podcast was a personal development, right? It was a challenge for me. I was gonna do
Cool.
it like with a little headphone jack on my iPhone. I was just gonna like, hey guys, whatever, I was just gonna do it. And RSI stepped up and sponsored me before they hired me here. So I
Cool.
was doing the podcast for a month before they put me up in this studio. Again, big shout out to RSI. But the main focus here is to gain more traffic, more followers to RSI. So I have a two-part deal of what I do for RSI. So
Okay.
one is to drive more traffic to website, the to the Facebook, socials, etc., as well as to our warehouse, right? And then two, drive more sales.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, a part of how I do that is with the podcast and with the reels, right? So to be able to the reels and the Facebook content, the podcast, all that is to help my viewers grow. And so that would help the contractors grow, right? And in turn, do more business at RSI if that is something that they would like to do. Not a
Right.
big deal for me, right? Because I feel like relationships are bigger than anything here. And so, like, if you want to do business, then okay, I'm not trying to get you to go away from major box, right? But that's the goal. That's the vision, right? To build more traffic, maybe in turn get some business, from some people here. But obviously, I can't service everyone. I'm dealing with a private company, so we're here in Houston. We're not everywhere else, right?
Right.
So Eastern Seaboard, I can't help you with shingles, but I can help you grow.
Right.
So that's the answer to that.
Yeah, so like, and I always like to get that context. It's hard to give a a prescription without the
It
diagnosis,
is.
right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the goal? So yeah, I mean, very similar to like roofing companies, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to generate. You don't want people coming to you looking for the lowest price, right? So like,
Right.
you don't want people to come to RSI because they're looking for a little bit of a discount or on their bundles. Like, you
Right.
want them. I'm sure you want to work with clients who like see the other value added things that you guys provide, like to help them grow their businesses with different tools, different support, and things like that. So yeah, that's great, bringing them this education. So maybe one thing is like to interview other, like I'm obviously in the roofing industry. I'm here in New Jersey, but like have some interviews with some other like businesses in that Houston area,
Yeah.
that might not be related to roofing, but might be interesting, that might provide value to your clients. Like maybe it's the gym or maybe it's the
Okay.
restaurant or whatever it is,
Yeah.
that can provide, that value to your clients. And then really like being very explicitly clear, like, hey, here are some of the things that RSI provides to their roofing contractors as value adds, that you might not get anywhere else. Here's how we make your life easier, that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, those are a
Heck
couple
yeah.
ideas.
Man, I'm always trying to learn, right? Man, I came from the roofing industry for 11 years into distribution, really into the content creation and distribution just kind of falls with it, and
Yeah.
man, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Definitely struck some ideas in my head to start structuring things a little different.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, when I like create a video or like write a written post, I am usually thinking of like an individual person that like I talked to that day, or a prospect or someone I saw at an event, or whatever. Like I am thinking about that person, and I'm like, going through, adding value to that person, because there's going to be other people that are just like that person that have the same questions or concerns or
Same
hesitations or whatever.
likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, I like that. Um, Faith. I want to cover that, right? Because we talked about it. We briefly, both of us briefly talked about it, right? Contractor fellowship, something that I go to. I go to church quite a bit. But you reference something that I like. You get into the Bible on a day-to-day basis, and that's a part of your morning meditation routine. Um, Tell us a little bit about that, your faith, if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
And shout out to Contractor Fellowship. You and I must have overlapped, because I was going pretty religiously, no pun intended, for like 2
Yeah.
years.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't been this year in 2023. We like double the size of our team, and it's,
Yeah.
for me, it's an 8:30 a.m. start. So like it just,
Ah,
I hate to say it, Jim's gonna yell at me, but like it just doesn't like jive with like our morning meetings and things like that. So
yeah.
I haven't made it in like 5 months. But actually, it's one of those things that I grew up Catholic. I went to a Christian high school. I went to a Christian university. I was a Eucharistic minister in high school. Like I would go to mass before high school,
Oh, wow.
like in the morning before high school. Like there's a chapel in our high school. Like my
Yeah.
buddy Ryan and I would go to school a half an hour early to go to mass, which is like,
Wow.
as a teenager, like,
It's big.
that was cool. And
Yeah.
then in college, I was kind of, I think like a lot of people, exposed to a lot of different, different people from all over the world, and, religions and ways of life. And, I
Yeah.
just kind of got busy with life. And honestly, it wasn't until like it was the roofing industry that kind of got me back into it, with things
Huh.
like the Contractor Fellowship,
Yeah.
and getting to meet people like Reggie Brock, and like others that
Oh,
are,
yeah.
Dylan McCabe, like guys
Yep.
that are more, open with their faith. Like
Yeah.
when I grew up, I don't know if it's Catholicism, but like you didn't really talk about your faith. It was just like you go to church, you do your thing, you don't talk about religion, politics. But in the roofing industry, like there's people that are very open with it, and it
Yeah.
encouraged me to be more open with it as well.
I think
And so,
Catholicism is real kind of, um, I mean, I said prim and proper earlier,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
is very prim and proper, very dogmatic.
Yes.
Um, you show up, you do a certain thing, um, and it's like clean cut,
Yeah.
you
And I
know?
think that's what drives some people away, and I think that's what kinda drove me away, because I don't really like rules, I don't like being told what to do, which is why I started my own business. So, like, when I've like, I'm a very, like, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a practicing Catholic.
Okay,
I have my own relationship with God, and, yeah, it really
that's
grounds
cool.
you, like the meditation, like the daily Bible app, like, it really, like, I like that it grounds you, and, like, yes, you feel it in that moment, but, like,
Yeah,
you think about it throughout the day, and, like, something comes up that, something goes sideways in business, and it just helps you keep things in perspective. It's like, "Alright, we lost a client," or, I didn't do great on that presentation or whatever. Like, all right, well, it's only business, right? It's not like the end of the world. And for me,
right.
that really helps me because I care so much about our business. I'm so emotionally involved as the owner. And like
Yeah,
you can let those things like, I'm guilty of being like tying my identity to the ups and downs of the business. And I know that's very common for entrepreneurs and it's not healthy. And I really I think my faith has helped to give me that perspective that like, hey, I am who I am. Regardless of whether we have, a record breaking month or we have like a rough month, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
that helps me. And I've in turn been a little bit more vocal about my faith and things like that. Because others have, and that's an example of leadership. Other people have been more vocal about it. Therefore, I am, and maybe it gives other people permission to be more vulnerable about it as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's, a big thing, being vulnerable about it. I was a little vulnerable with, some baptism stuff that was sent my way. I ended up getting, kicked out of a group because of it, and, a very prominent group too, but not a big deal for me, because for me, for so long, I was, like, spiritually bankrupt, and I, like, bankrupted my family, and that's where, like, I didn't give the opportunity to my kids to go and learn for themselves, and that's what kinda when I realized that, it really hurt me because I had the opportunity even as a young child. I was exposed to Islam, that was my first religion, and then after that, I mean, all different kinds. My mom went to all big shout out to my mother and her spiritual journey. Um, she ended up landing, in, kind of a Baptist type deal. I don't know exactly, but like you now, she doesn't really go to church a bunch. She reads the Bible, gets up, reads the Bible, and she's got that connection. I don't think that and this is just my personal opinion. I don't think that and we've talked about this like in contractor fellowships, very divisive thing these days, religion. And
Mhm.
man, I'm not about division, and neither was Christ. It was about bringing people together and really just serving God in a good way. I'm excited that you opened up, a little bit about that and shared with us. I have another question though. Do you have a family? Like you said you were married, right? You have children?
Yes, we've been married 13 years. Just had our anniversary last Monday.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, 13 years. Our son is 11, our daughter's 8, and our dog is 1. So, our
Ooh,
family's complete, and, yeah, it's awesome.
11-year-old. That's a lot.
I know, man, it sounds old. I sound old saying that.
I have a
Um,
12-year-old, so
okay.
I have 4. So I have a 12-year-old, I have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a one that just turned 4.
Oh, wow, you got your hands
And then we
full.
have a
Wow.
dog that's 8, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we got a full house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, dude, we're getting close to the end here. But going into family, do you have to schedule time with your family?
Do I have to schedule time with my family? So
Yeah,
my calendar Monday to Friday is like scheduled from like 5:30 in the morning until 9:30 at night.
perfect.
And yes, it does include family time.
Yeah,
I usually work from like 9 a.m. to like 6. So nothing crazy. But
yeah,
add in 2 workouts a day and family time and practices and all that sort of thing. They both do travel soccer. Um,
ooh,
Weekends are very heavily focused on their soccer schedules and being
yeah,
outside as much as possible. We live by the beach, so yeah, that's one of my focal points for this year is to be more intentional about like the one-on-one time because
yeah,
we spend a lot of time together as a family. Like we eat breakfast and dinner together like almost every
yeah,
day, which is really cool unless I'm traveling. But the one-on-one time, as you know, like with your kids, with your spouse, like super important. And it's just like a different dynamic when you're one-on-one with one of your
yeah,
kids. So I've been pretty good about like you know, either scheduling those or just making an intentional like, "Hey, I'll cut out at 4 and drive you to soccer practice," which is 20 minutes away, so we
yeah.
can spend some time together, like, one-on-one. So, yeah, that's I need to get better at sticking to that, date nights, um, 'cause, I don't know if you're
Hard.
married or not, but, like, my
Yeah,
wife and I can go, like we can go a week without having, like, a one-on-one conversation because it's
yeah,
like kids are
yeah,
always the kids are
yeah,
always around.
yeah. It's definitely hard. My wife's been with me this entire journey through the
Awesome.
roofing industry, and it is definitely my shot. I've got a big heart for all these women that put up with what we with our schedules and what
Oh,
we do, man. It's just absolutely insane. um, you know, from from traveling around and all kinds of stuff, like, we put our families through a lot, and it's definitely hard, to shut off, you know,
yeah.
just to be able to shut that business off. Shut it off whenever you're coming in instead of being boss, instead of being businessman, instead of being that badass, you gotta be dad, you gotta
Yes.
be husband, and that's something that I'm learning. Balance is real hard with anybody that's doing stuff like that you're doing, stuff like I'm doing in content. And it's just trying to make more time. I'm buying more time just like anybody else, because that one-on-one time is so important. Um,
Yeah. My brother-in-law shared this thing yesterday on Facebook. It was like and I've seen various versions of this, but like 90% of the time that you spend with your kids is going to be before they turn 18.
ooh.
So, like, dude, that's scary.
God,
Like
bro. Ooh,
so after 18, you have only 10%. Like, that's crazy. So, like,
wow.
it gives me chills, like, thinking about it 'cause, so just trying to
We have so little time,
yeah, it's
so little
crazy.
time to influence our own home, you
Yeah.
know? So if you're out there and you work hard and you're a influencer, what have you, or you help your industry and you're struggling with time with your family, you take the time today to hug them, to kiss them, tell them that you love them. Spend 10 minutes with your kids alone today. I'm going to do that today. I spend 10 minutes alone with each one of my children. 'Cause I feel like I know that my kids run up to me and they're talking and they're young, and I vibe really well with what TJ McCormick said the other day. He's addicted to a cell phone, and it's just like if you see me, and we people said it today. Yeah, yeah, man, you got your phone in your hand, like, oh, what's going on? Like, man, I am busy. Like it's hard for me to put that down. So taking the time today to put it down for 10 minutes and talk to my kids. Joseph, Joe, Joe, do you have anything for our viewers before we leave that you would say is on your heart, um, that a roofing contractor or somebody going into entrepreneurship should take with him?
Man, I think that we work with a lot of clients. I talk with a lot of people, and it's something I work on with myself daily. It's get clear, get some clarity on what you want and why. Um, because we're all like hard charging, we all want to accomplish a lot, high performing, whatever you want to call it. Um, but make sure you're clear on what you want and why, and that's everything else is going to stem from that. Who you want to be, what you want to be known for, like start with that vision in mind, like your future self, and work backward from there. Don't try to be like someone else on social media or be like your competitor or whatever it might be. Because like you can ask people questions and seek advice, but like if it's not in the context of like what you want and why, then like you're just wasting your time. So get clear on that. A lot of people are like, yeah, I want to grow, I want to double my business. Well, why? Why do you want to do that? And it's like keep asking those questions, like layer the whys, right? Spend some time doing that. Like this Friday, I have a 4-hour time block where I'm gonna go to this like hotel lobby that's like 15 minutes from me. No appointments or anything. I'm just gonna like think and journal and think about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's called a clarity break.
Mm.
And we need that once in a while.
Yeah.
So I would just say like don't neglect that, like getting clear on what you want and why.
Mm. It has been a live episode in the Roofing on the Rise studio. So excited to have Joe Hughes here with Contractor Dynamics. Joe, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Marquis. It's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. Really good to get to know you and have some good conversation here.
Likewise, likewise. Again, we are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston market. If you're looking for an awesome supplier, we provide our contractors with all sorts of supplies and business type content. So give us a call, 210-919-8987. We're also sponsored by West Group Public Adjusters. If you're looking for an awesome public adjuster, hit up West Group Public Adjusting. Again, it's been a live stream. Catch us on Saturday at 10 a.m. Have a blessed day.